Before we get started for silent meditation, we just finished Memorial Day. You may not know this, but there's been over 1 million people that have died in service of our country in our 250-year history. Most of them were lost in the Civil War and World War. But it's a day of remembrance. I know we're a little bit late, but I think I want to acknowledge Memorial Day, and please join me in 15 seconds in commemoration of that day. Thank you. Okay, would you lead us in the pledge, please? We have, I think we have two of the agenda. Would you make the motion, please?
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve our agenda with the following changes, removing item E2. And I'll make a motion to approve that for our May 27th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Doris?
Honorable Ralph Hessler.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Taz Glenn.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, move on to commission comments. You want to start? Clive, any comments? Any comments? I have no comments either, so I don't think. Good. Move on to staff comments.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission. Good to see you all today. Obviously, Memorial Day is the official start of summer. My report today is to let you all know that the mayor and I did some work trying to get together a summer shuttle and working with the Southwest Regional Transit Authority. Their manager agreed that they wanted to continue to try to add service. So they are running a bus route service on the weekends to provide mobility around TRC and Sierra County through the Regional Transit Authority. So I have the schedule. It's going to be online. I think Carrie's doing a story about it, and it'll run from Memorial Day till Labor Day. It's going to be a test run for them, and they're running up to 10 trips. So the stops will be about every hour. They're hitting locations and running on Fridays and Saturdays and potentially Sundays on weekends. They're going to be reaching out to the schools to potentially find some bus drivers that might want to fill in as temporary drivers. So I'm excited to let you know that we have regional transportation going in our community again.
And so I know before there was like a schedule, but you could also call, like, how do people get in touch with?
This will be just on the schedule. So the bus will just run, it'll just run an hour loop to each of the 10 stops that they have. And I think they're going to run 2 buses. So they're just going to be coordinated. It won't be a call for service. It'll just be just like you're picking up public transportation. It'll just be on their schedule. They posted that and they're running it and they're paying for it. So we'll see where that goes. Excited to put that together and working with you. That was a good project. Thanks. All right, that's it.
All right, perfect.
Everything else will be in the.
To jump on what you just said, I want to thank you, Mr. Hubner, that was kind of your brainchild and came up with the initial thought. You were actually in Germany when the opportunity presented itself to us. We didn't want to let it slide. So Gary and I met with the South Central Transportation Organization and scheduled that out. But thank you for your initial inquiry in that regard. We just have staff comments. Do you have any staff comments? Okay, thank you. All right, as we get moving on, we're going to start with presentations, and we're going to start with certificates first, and then we'll do a proclamation. And when I call you up, would you come up to the front and kind of wait, and I'll call all 3 of you up, but I'll read your certificates, and then we'll come down with you and we'll take a photo, and hopefully we'll put it in the papers. So the first certificate We'll go to Adamina. Is it quiet? Quick, thank you. With our sincerest appreciation and recognition of your accomplishments in the city of Truth or Consequences 2026 Miss Fiesta pageant and earning the prestigious title of Miss Congeniality, we commend you and wish you every success on your future endeavors. Dated this 27th day of May, 2026.
Congratulations. Just hang out and then we'll get a picture in a second.
Congratulations.
Paisley Johansson. With our sincerest appreciation and recognition of your accomplishment in the City of Truth or Consequences 2026 Miss Fiesta pageant and earning the prestigious title of second runner-up, we commend you and wish you every success in your future. Dated this 27th day of May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Anya Beret. With our sincerest appreciation and recognition of your accomplishment in the City of Truth or Consequences 2026 Miss Fiesta pageant and earning the prestigious title of Miss Fiesta, we commend you and wish you every success in your future endeavors. Dated this 27th day of May 2026. Ms. Beret, congratulations. Okay. All right, stand up here and we're going to make a proclamation now. Proclamation from the City of Truth or Consequences. Whereas on April 24th, 2026, the Miss Fiesta pageant was held at the Civic Center in the Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And whereas at the conclusion of the pageant, Anya Beret was named Miss Fiesta. And whereas the Miss Fiesta pageant has taken pride for 75 years and has awarded many scholarships to contestants. And whereas this young woman will represent Truth or Consequences and Sierra County at many events and occasions throughout the reign, giving generously of her time to promote Truth or Consequences and Sierra County. And whereas Ms. Beret has brought acknowledgement and acclamation to herself and her family with this achievement. She is a source of enormous pride to the City of Truth or Consequences and Sierra County, just as every other Miss Fiesta has done. Now, therefore, I, Rolf Eschler, Mayor of the City of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, do hereby declare that the first day of Fiesta on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, has been declared as Miss Fiesta Anya Beret Day.
Yay.
I encourage every citizen to applaud these young women contestants for their accomplishments and future endeavors. All right, let's get Eve up here in front. Can you join me?
Like in the center. There you go. Yeah. I'm gonna have to stand on the side because I'm gonna be over. Always can. It doesn't have to go like.
Congratulations. We'll be in touch.
We have a very fun agenda, so you guys better hang out. I'm just kidding. You guys can go at any time.
I have one more certificate of acclamation for Hayden Diamond, who could not be with us today. She was the first runner-up. All right, thank you.
Congratulations, ladies. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to public comment. And we have one person signed up, Ms. Hutchins. Welcome again.
Hi. Okay, Alice Hutchins, Mayor Pro Tem Commission. 14 public comments for the ICIP rankings, despite Carrie working her tail off, getting all that information out there. Does your average citizen in TRC just not care? No, I don't think so. I think that we don't actually understand the process we're being asked to care about, especially regarding the vital connection between local and state funding. Saying infrastructure capital improvement plan repeatedly across various media platforms does not an education make. I learned from the City Connect that shovel ready means defined costs, timelines, maintenance plans, but I have no idea what projects the city had shovel ready. Projects I might perhaps have lent my voice and energy behind. I suggested a summer splash pad at Ralph Edwards Park for young families. It would check a lot of cool, healthy kids, family connection boxes, but it was not shovel ready. The Lee Bell Johnson City is high on the ICIP list again. I've lived here for 10 years and I'm pretty involved in the community. And here's what I know about that particular building. It used to be a super cool place, and then part of it got torn down, then the spaceport stole it, and then the foundation was ruined, so now it's falling apart. So to me, a concerned citizen, the Lee Bell Johnson building being on the ICIP list means nothing, other than the city wants to fix up an old building. But could the Lee Bell Johnson building be a maker's place for families to create art, host music and drama camps, serve as a much needed community downtown meeting space? You would have had 100 people, me included, down here voting to put that at the very top of the ICIP list. How do we work together, citizens and the city, to create a consistent stream of shovel-ready, now that I know what that means, projects that are then placed on the ICIP, that list, that moves its way up as the timing and funding is correct? The Rotary Park Master Plan seems like an amazing project for community engagement. Will we be asked for input at the ground level? We're not short on good ideas. We know what we want and need, but we're not maximizing our impact. We don't know as a community what we don't know. We struggle to work collaboratively to improve our community. Our knowledge and energies are fragmented. The ICIP process is obviously really important. Please include the community at a much earlier stage so that when we get to this final stage, when our access to state funds hangs in the balance, you have a knowledgeable community. Thanks.
Thank you.
You framed that pretty perfect.
I know.
That makes sense for sure.
Good practice. Ladies, if you'd like to stay, you can. If you'd like to leave, you can leave too, but don't feel like you can't just get up and go if you want to. But you're more than welcome to stay, okay? All right. Let's move on to new business. Item E1, discussion action, FY 2026 Tourism Marketing Proposed Plan, New Mexico True Cooperative Advertising Agreement. Mr. Whitehead.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission. The first item that we bring before you today, as we prepare, you'll have some items to deal with in budget, and it's time to just renew some annual contracts that we handle throughout the year. This is a standard contract that the city has performed work for the last few years. Gina's here, can add some additional items. The funding will come from lodgers tax. The contract will allow for the Sierra County tourism information and website design, and then also to allow the Sierra County Tourism Board to work with our through the Sunny 505 to help support our New Mexico True campaign, which we work through with that particular ad agency. That contract is also on the agenda, and we can review that. The value of this contract is $17,500, the same as it was last year. The contract is a reimbursable, so the organization, being 501c3, will spend the money and then provide a quarterly report to our lodgers tax administrator in the clerk's office, and then be reimbursed. Staff recommends approval of the contract.
Thank you.
And we've had some discussions since the agenda was put together. I know you have up on the screen there, what's in the pack is the March 12 letter from the Sierra County Tourism. But we got today, I guess, city clerk gave us the advertising and promotion contract. So I'm assuming that's actually the action we would take. We would approve that
Correct.
contract.
That's correct.
Okay. Oh, right.
Each particular item will have an individual contract. And so you're looking at the contract, and this is the proposal for that contract. So
Right.
the terms of the proposal will be consistent within the terms of the contract. So,
And in case there's any confusion, compare the letters in the font in your agenda packet to what was discussed by the city clerk. If the total figure is correct, what Mr. Whitehead said, 17,500. And it's broken down in the contract. It's going to be 16,000 to Rwanda Waldron, 1,500 to Geronimo Trails. Okay.
Okay.
So make sure we're clear.
Ms. Kelly, do you have any additional words of wisdom for us?
Yeah, just good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Commission, city staff, public. Gina Kelly, I'm the director of the Geronimo Trail Scenic Byway, but I'm also the secretary of the Sierra County Tourism Advisory Board, and Kim Skinner, our president, could not be here today. Unfortunately, she had an appointment in Las Cruces. Anyway, what this pays for, as they said, 17,500, 16,000 of that was, sorry. I can tell you $1,500 is for shipping of brochures that the Geronimo Trail has. 3,000 of that is for this, the Sierra County Travel Guide. This is what we sent out to all the visitor centers statewide and what we have in the visitor center. We provide this for all the local lodging. This is updated annually. Generally, it's pretty current. You just got it. And of course, as soon as we got it, we had another restaurant open. And then the balance of that is for the sierracounty.info website, which we all work together to keep updated constantly. Just to let you know, the New Mexico Tourism Department is part of the co-op marketing agreement. They're embedded into our website and our social media. So they can get in there and they can work with it. They can do a lot of advertising things. It's above my pay grade. Ruana's the website expert. But that website's real crucial to that program we have. So that's pretty much all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're all familiar with Roanna. We've worked with her on Fiesta, so very strong with us in that regard. If we have any further discussion? Everybody's happy? All right,
Yes.
so then let's, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the FY 2026 tourism market proposed plan in Mexico to cooperative and advertising agreement as presented.
We have a second. All right.
Honorable Member Forster. Honorable Go Hopman.
Item E, we're gonna skip, we dropped item E2. We're gonna go to item E3, discussion action, request for vacation of plats at 418 Locust Street.
I will make a motion to table the request to vacate the plat at 418 Locust Street and direct staff to notify adjacent property owners by certified letter and bring the item back once notification has been verified.
I'll second that.
Honorable Member Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Engel Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Tazewell.
Aye.
Honorable Rob Tessler.
All
Honorable Justin Mitchell.
Aye.
right. Item E4, discussion action, request for plat amendment at 2300 Peter. Assistant City Manager Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners. Applicants requesting to split their parcel, well, two separate parcels into 4 separate parcels. Properties in the T1 district, all property owners within 100 feet were notified. Public hearing was held at the planning and zoning meeting on May 11th. There were no opponents or proponents. And you've been provided the agenda packet and draft minutes from the planning and zoning meeting. With that, I will stand for any questions.
Commissioner.
Just curious why there was no proponents.
Pardon?
No proponents, like nobody was there to say, yay, we want to do this, like the owners weren't there.
The owner had to be out of state, but he did write a letter, which is also included in your packet, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, because actually, we want to make sure there is sufficient evidence to support your decision. So, but I think the fact that, first of all, there was no opponents is good to know. And then we talked about there's a letter in the packet, and I know Tracy gave a presentation herself. So there, I think there's evidence to support the decision.
Further discussion? It's pretty straightforward, so let's have a motion.
I will make a motion to Approve the request.
Approve the request for this plat.
Second.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Taz Green. Honorable Ralph Hester.
Five, discussion action request for variance at 1199 East Riverside. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. The applicant is requesting a variance for the minimum dwelling unit size. Properties in the RR1 district, which is the Riverside Road. 110 square feet. The applicants would model that existing structure for livable dwelling purposes. RR1 does require a minimum dwelling size of 800 square feet. The applicant was presented for public hearing at the P and Z meeting on 5/11. There were no opponents or proponents. The motion was a 2-2 vote by our P and Z. We had one member absent, and the applicant is in the audience here today. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. You have any questions? Sir, are you the applicant? Would you step up, please, and kind of tell us about your property real quick?
Sure, property was split up.
Start with your name and.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rocky Mondello. 1195 East Riverside, I have the property right next to it in question. And some years ago, property was split up with permission from the commission, whoever does that. And this cottage was on it then, and it was split up and it came up for sale, so I bought it because it's right next to me. And I guess in the past year or two, y'all passed some kind of ordinance that wanted to be more than 800, so I just want to remodel the thing because it's really kind of an eyesore, and like right now, I can't really afford to go beyond that because I want to remodel it, make it look nice. And in the future, I'll be happy to add more onto it, That's about all I really have to say. I would just like to fix up the place.
Okay. You're fixing up, or you're going to stay within the footprint of the building and
Yeah.
as you start out?
Yeah. For
Okay,
the
the
moment,
building's
yeah.
already there, right?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
I will tell Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, if it's approved, any remodel or anything, he'll have to go through planning and zoning and then reach out and get state permitting. So all planning and zoning regulations will be followed as well.
Before we vote on this thing, I just want to commend the planning and zoning board for their work on this thing. We read all the minutes, all the notes. They were pretty thorough in their questioning. Kind of hashed everything out, answered my questions. I'm kind of leaning toward approving, mainly because we're not changing the footprint of the building. The building's dilapidated. It's going to be improved. It'll help the neighborhood in that area. And I think for that reason, I'd be inclined to support the effort. I know it was a 2-2 vote. I think had there been a full quorum, it may have been a little bit different, hopefully in supportive, but that's my feelings. Anybody else have anything else to say?
I just wanted to say that I drove by it, and yes, the lot is pretty much made for a spam training, not for 800 plus square foot house. There would be not much left in of the property why it was split up, and due to that of the size of the lot. I agree, and I also.
Yeah, and I know we have specific parameters we're supposed to stay in, but that dwelling is already there. It's just improving.
Okay.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the request for the variance at 1199.
And I second that.
Doris?
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Taz Green.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hester.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Carries unanimous. Sir, congratulations. All right, let's move on to item E6, discussion update, new auditor contract.
Hello, Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. I just want to point out on the form, it says recommendation, motion to approve IT policy as presented. I used Gary's form. So I didn't take that out, so there's not action required.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna update everyone on on the board and the public and the staff, we released JAG as our audit team, and we moved forward and procured this new audit firm. And I put their entire proposal, the letter from the state auditor, the approval from the state auditors, and the cost. And for auditing this current fiscal year, starting next fiscal year, we're looking at $55,441. They have their portfolio is really impressive. And they stand for any questions at this time. There's a process.
Thank you. Commissioner, questions? Ms. Holguin, the process, when we go for a new auditor, they have to come off of an approved list by the state, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so we know that they've already been vetted
Yes, sir.
and that they're already a competent auditor that we can use.
Yes, and the state auditor already approved the contract. So it falls under 60,000, but we'll probably have it on the June 2nd meeting for all the approvals for all the big contracts and services that will be.
This year should be a little smoother than last year. We had some
It's the plan.
deadline changes, didn't we? That kind of messed things up.
Yeah, and I've actually spoken with Beasley's team, and I reached out to them to see what we can do to prep for this next audit to kind of remove some of those findings. And because like they also mentioned when Jag was here, those were findings that were in that fiscal year, but we had already started kind of cleaning that up. But because we weren't cleaning them up in that fiscal year, that's why those findings were noted. But we're already in the process of trying to eliminate and create.
Good. Okay. That's all my questions. Any other questions? Having none, I'll entertain a motion.
There is no
Just
motion on
no
it.
need for a motion.
All right, item E7, discussion action. Agreement between the Sierra County Swim Team and the City of Consequences to utilize the J.A. Hodges Municipal Swimming Pool. For Eschler.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. This is your 2026 swim team agreement. I'm just gonna summarize it real quick and then kind of talk about last year's success with the swim team. So this agreement establishes a partnership between the City of Truth or Consequences and Sierra County Swim Team for the use of the J.A. Hodges Municipal Swimming Pool. The swim team is allowed to utilize the pool at a reduced cost of $1,000, which may be offset through volunteer service supporting pool operations. In exchange, the swim team will provide community benefits, including youth swim programs, swim lessons, junior lifeguard development, participation in competitive meets representing the city, and operational support such as pool cleaning, chemical monitoring, and staffing assistance. The agreement also requires the swim team to maintain proper certifications, provide liability insurance, and assist in ensuring safe and continuous pool operations throughout the term of the agreement. This swim team agreement 2026 is basically the same as the 2025 swim team agreement. Last year, for our 2025 pool season, the Sierra County Swim Team contributed significant volunteer operational support to the city pool during the 2025 season. Team members completed 68 documented volunteer hours, exceeding the agreement requirement. Work included lifeguarding support, pool cleaning, maintenance, office assistance, and swim instruction. Coach Mitchell contributed an estimated 500 plus volunteer hours supporting pool operations, supervision, and programming continuity. The swim team helped maintain safe pool operations during staffing shortages while providing youth recreation, swim lessons, and water safety operation. The partnership provided measurable community benefit and helped offset operational costs through volunteer service and public programming support. So I also just want to add the swim team. You know, I've been involved in the swimming pool for 4 or 5 years now, and the last couple of years when we conduct interviews for lifeguards in our swimming pool, almost every one of them has gone through or been part of the Sierra County Swim Team. They've been junior certified lifeguards, they're CPR, they've got all their certifications a lot of times, or they're expired, but we know that they can get them, right? Because they've had them before. So I just want to give a tribute to the swim team in that aspect. So with that, I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
The form of the contract is identical to last year. And I know we went through it last year. We was very important to us to make sure we outlined the agreement, the services we were getting in exchange for the reduction. So that way we don't have an anti-donation clause problem. And I think we took care of that issue.
Thank you. Coach Mitchell, since I assume that you're gonna recuse yourself from the actual vote, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think it worked out really smooth last year. And everyone will tell you that the pool was clean, the bathrooms were clean. Even their junior lifeguards, they're 11, 12 years old, but they're very respectful, they're very mature. It just made the season so much smoother to have extra help there. And then for our free swim lesson program, we have well over 75 swimmers take advantage of those swimmers take advantage of that. So I think that's one of the most important things that they do is please provide some very clean.
How's the, how well is the dollar session working?
Oh, we've been slammed.
I guess it's what we wanted, right?
Right. Mother's Day was 168 people alone. So, yeah, we definitely increased our patron usage and people are using the pool and it's great. I think it's really gonna make it a good asset for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agreement between the Sierra County Swim Team and the City of Cherokee to utilize the municipal pool.
I'll second that motion.
Doris?
Honorable Charles Goins.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hessler. Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Abstain.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopper.
Carried with one abstention. Item number E8, discussion action approval of information technology policies and procedures. Michael Kozlowski.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, I'll get started. Michael and I will just work together on this.
Okay.
In support of finance in the last audit, one of the findings were that we did not have an IT policy. Many of the findings that you're going to find from our audit that we do need to correct revolve around policies that we need to just work and implement, and we'll just be focused over the next year here, the next few months, making sure we do it. But this is one. Everybody knows Michael, he takes care of our IT. We've really had a good kind of getting things stable. And so what we've done, Michael developed an IT. It's really a challenge to know what all needs to be policy. So we charged Michael to kind of give us a good boilerplate of what we needed. Once I reviewed it, it felt like it touched the key elements of our infrastructure, our assets. I did ask it. I sent it to Jay for review. He gave me the same response. I'm not an IT guy. But again, it has had a fair amount of review. And so what we agreed today is that Michael's here to kind of answer any questions that you might have about IT. I think all of us understand what we see in the news, the media as it relates to IT. So I think there's just some questions that Michael can provide for you. He has been steady on just really improving the network, improving the firewalls, improving the way that we connect and communicate. So we would have that. Primary purpose, again, we're already doing most of the items. This is just to memorialize them, create a policy that then also does have to go into DFA as part of our budgetary process as well. So we'll get that. This will kind of check both of those boxes. And so with that, I'll let Michael do his part of the presentation or be here for questions.
Mayor Pro Tem, commissioners, I think we were mostly doing what we needed to, but we just didn't really have anything written down. So I just looked up some standards used across the nation, and NIST, I think, is a widely respected standard. So I just kind of based it off of that. And I think the main things we weren't really doing is we didn't have a standard training regimen for everyone. I mean, I do try to, tell the employees, hey, don't do this, you get this forwarded to me, don't click the link, verifying phone, things like that. So I think we've had decent education on an informal level, but we kind of needed to standardize that. And then the main other thing I think we didn't really have implemented was access control, like physical access control of the server rooms. We didn't really do that. Most of the other stuff there, I think we kind of already had it in place. We just needed to write it up. Anyway, I don't know if you have any questions.
Mr. Kozlowski, I'm a little familiar with where we were about a year and a half ago. And I'm hoping that we're in a much better place now. And can you kind of describe that a little bit for us?
Well, yeah, the main things we've kind of improved since I've been here is I felt like we didn't have like the workstations, I guess, were not secured to the point where they needed to be. Like we got an antivirus endpoint detection and response solution. So like even if we got hit with ransomware, it should contain it to the individual like workstation. And there's actually like a rollback feature on that too, which we haven't extensively tested because we haven't been hit by ransomware since I've been here, but should work. And then the other big jump we made is the email was kind of not really where it should have been as far as being able to, I feel like that's where most of the attacks come nowadays, is just like people pretending to be someone else and be like, hey, you open this, and then they take your credentials and now they can send as you or get all your information. Or the checkpoint email security, good. It can kind of, just monitor, like using the AI to monitor the inboxes and the login locations, and it can just lock it down instantly. It's actually come up a couple of times, so we know it works. And those are the main things. I mean, I think on the like network hardware, we were pretty good. Like our firewalls, they're Cisco, Meraki, well-respected, hardware there that can monitor the traffic and, detect anomalies there. And kind of, we've got policies like, we have some stuff like at the police department, they have like tools that they can get into the police department, but it's very locked down. So like we can't, it's not publicly accessible in that sense. People have to be VPN'd in, which has its own, credentialing. So yeah, I think our like attack surface is pretty low on that, on the firewalls and all that. Yeah, anyway.
Risk in the past. So. Thank you.
Well, and as I'm working my way through the agreement, I mean, I was impressed. I felt it provided a lot of safeguards for, cut down on liability exposure, which is like what I'm looking at. So that's what I thought.
I'd like to, with Michael and working with our departments, we've also implemented a lot of the inventory that's required for the IT products that we have. And then, as Gary mentioned, we need an IT policy going with the income budget this year, which is something different. It's implementing some, we're trying to cram as much stuff to get it organized and complete in a timely fashion, but as accurate as possible.
Okay, thank you. Right. Thank you for answering the question. Any other questions, concerns?
I just remember the last commission meeting during the findings of the audit. One of the things was the server rooms not being locked and stuff like that. And that's sensitive data that we need to keep secure. So this looks like a step in the right direction.
I have a motion.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the IT policies and procedures manual as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Starts on a motion and a second.
Honorable Ralph Esper.
Aye.
Honorable Desmond Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner. Honorable Charlie Glenn.
Discussion action. Approval of purchases, 60,000 and over. Who's going to present this? Carlos, are you going to present that?
Carlos and I will work together on this.
Right. Let's start with A, Texas Waste Equipment Incorporated.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, Pro Tem and City Commissioners. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We're first going to start off with the city sweeper. This is going to be a combination of two funds. The first one will be $39,414, which will be from the Muni Street Fund, and the rest of the amount, which will be $200,000, will come from the HGAC by contracts, and also touch the a contract, in the file. There we go. And this is, sorry.
So that 200,000 that's actually a loan agreement, right?
Correct.
Yes. And this is I was saying, we're working with the street department to get this done. And I will defer to Gary Whitehead, city manager, if you have any more questions.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, thank you, Carlos. We worked together on this particular project. This is a project that we started in December. We requested funding and a loan of $200,000 from New Mexico Finance Authority. We were granted that loan. We were granted a 0% loan on 150,000 of it, so our net loan cost is 0.03%. This loan will be paid off in 5 years. The annual debt service is approximately $400,000. The main issue that really drew me to this particular opportunity was we were planning on trying to lease a sweeper for the summer months, and it was going to cost us just over $30,000 for 2 months of leasing. This project, working with the finance authority just made really good sense. So again, we're putting $39,000 down from the streets department, and then the New Mexico Finance Authority will fund the balance, and we'll start our first payment. The funding, the debt service has us making some monthly payments to cover some of the interest costs, and then an annual debt service, which would be around $40,000 again. The street sweeper, as you can see, is in your packet. We'll be buying it from Heil of Texas. The nice part about the particular sweeper, if you can roll up to the photos of the sweeper, the sweeper is what they call a non-CDL. So it's able to be driven by any member of our staff. The large sweeper we have right now has to be driven by a CDL driver. The other part, I will remind you, we've worked really hard this year to get our old sweeper back in productivity. The crew has done a really good job keeping it going. It's back up and it's running pretty well. The second part about this particular one is it's a vacuum sweeper. So it has 2 blades that will sweep to the sides, but then it has the ability to draw. So the second reason that we wanted this was to be able to take care of our downtown areas when we have this, when it rains, the 2 days a year when it rains. We want to be able to, this sweeper will be able to go and then draw that water. So again, in an effort to try to manage our flood kind of concerns downtown, this sweeper will be really advantageous with that particular item. I did review 2 different projects. Our previous waters, our street supervisor, Buster, he and I looked at both mechanical and the vacuum. This ultimately was the better choice. The nice part, the other sweeper we have, the box has failed. So, right, it picks up water, it picks up debris. It's caused it to fail. This particular one comes with a lifetime warranty on the box. So again, it just provided us with the best opportunities, fit within the best budget we wanted. And so at this point, we would ask authorization to approve the purchase order and the contract with HGAC to purchase this sweeper. And I'd stand for any questions as well as Carlos.
How do I get back?
Well, depends on what you're going to buy. So
Anything. Buy it all.
what I will tell you to kind of set you up for the next item, we are entitled to get 150,000 annually through that program. And so we put off making an application for police cars. So we are going to apply for another 250 using the police department's funds so that we could get them. We'll qualify for the same. So we hope to be able to buy upwards of 4 new units and get them in and pay them back over 4 years and get the same interest rate. So we'll be trying to get that going. So it's effectively using our cash as wisely as we possibly can.
I'd like to add that HGAC is a federal procurement process. It's kind of like the state purchasing program. Just like that. That's how it's procured.
I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the contract between Texas Waste Equipment. I'll second that.
Before you go, I was actually just make sure, because I'm looking what we have in the packet. So we're approving I know we were approving the purchase, and we already had approved the previous meeting, the loan agreement. So actually, the document we're approving would be, just to make sure I know what it is. It's,
The requisition and the purchase order.
so I'm looking at the contract pricing worksheet. That's what I should be looking at. Okay, that's, I want to make sure I'm clear. Okay.
Honorable Amanda Foster.
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Hassler. Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Inga Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Travis Glenn.
Carried unanimously. Let's move on to item 9B, Wilson & Company Incorporated Engineering and Architects.
Thank you for that. And on to my second item, it is for the water system design, bidding, construction oversight for the Pershing's and Silver water line replacement. This is, excuse me, this is with the procurement, we're working with the Community Development Department. And this was awarded with the Colonias Infrastructure Fund. It's grant and loan funds. And this is also using our, excuse me, the city is also using our on-call engineering services, task order 10 and 11. And I will defer to Tracy. Oh, and I'm sorry, the total amount is $438,038,000 $438,017.67. I apologize. And I will defer to Tracy if you have any more questions on this.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners. So due to our favorable low bids that came in on our shovel-ready water infrastructure project, we have approximately $1.9 million left in the Colonias funds that we can move towards another project. So the requisition that's being presented to you guys today is for professional services for approximately 5,200 linear feet of water line replacement on Pershing and Silver Streets. The services will include design, bidding, construction administration, and construction inspection services. The proposed improvements include Pershing Street from the high school to 9th Street, and then Silver Street from 8th Street to 3rd Street. The available funding that we have might only allow us to construct 3,400 linear feet, but we're going to design for the full 5,200. And then when we go out to bid, we'll do the additive alternates in the bidding. And depending on how bids come in, we'll maximize as far as we can go. The 10-inch water lines, though, will improve our water flow, provide additional system redundancy, improve fire flow capacity south of the roundabout along 8th Street, and complete a critical loop water system connection serving areas south of 3rd Street, including the Main Street District area. With that, I'll stand for any questions or refer to the city manager if he has anything else to add as well.
Okay, right. Questions, comments?
I do have a question. In this process of replacing the water lines, are we also going to come back over and fix the streets afterwards? I know we get a lot of complaints about Silver Street and it's a high traffic street to the hospital, the school, and a lot of potholes and, cracked sidewalks and stuff like that. Is it part of this project too, to come back and work on those too, or is that?
So our water infrastructure funds that we receive will only cover a water patch. So just the trenching and the patch where the water line. As far as coming back at a later date and doing the streets, I'm going to defer to our city manager.
Just goes the bus. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, we're not here to talk about street. We're about to talk about something. I think it's a great question. But I would challenge you to say, first of all, we're trying to figure out some innovative ways to do streets, right? If you go take a look at 9th Street, you can see that the patchwork that they did is really well done. So what we're trying to do is figure out what's the cap that we could put over that road that would then seal the entire road, the new asphalt that they put into the water line crack, and then prepare. So that's what we're trying to look for. We did receive a grant from NMDOT this year where we're looking at what they call a slurry seal. We're going to do 5 blocks up in the 8th and 7th Street off of Corbett up in that area. That's where we applied. So we're going to see how well that application works and if it won't create a better drive surface while utilizing what we can pay for with the water lines and what we can pay for with streets. We cannot in any way, shape, or form pave from Date Street all the way to Silver Street in one. We just don't have enough funding. So we're trying to figure out the innovative ways and then use those funds. But Assistant Manager Alvarez is correct. We are limited in what we can do as we do these water projects to street improvements. Okay. But what I will say, just to draw the picture, I always like to make sure that you guys are aware of kind of where we're going, right? So we do have this new water line from Pershing all the way to Silver. The proposal that we're having here would then allow us to run from Silver Street down Silver from 9th Street to connect. We will be putting a new water line in on 3rd Street as well. So this will allow us to now make a connection. If you begin to see the map, it makes a lot of sense. We're building nice squares around the community with lines so that then we can try to come back. So we're really excited about the opportunity to extend that. But unfortunately, you know, I hear it. I hear the streets. We've struggled in the last 3 weeks. The roller's been down. You just run into these challenges. We rent a roller 2 weeks ago to get it back on Marie Street. We'll just continue to be as innovative as we possibly can and try to solve those problems. But it's not on deaf ears. I hear the problem. We just don't have the funding to do so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just wanted to expound a little bit. We actually saved 1.9 million. That's on another project.
Mayor Pro Tem, you're saving 1.9 million on this particular project.
Right.
Project that's put the water line on 9th Street. They're putting a water line on 2nd. They're building a new storage tank at our Cook Street project. So we did save 1.9 million on that bid. So that's where the dollars are coming from to do this project.
And the reason that the engineering is so high, that we're actually engineering 3 projects, but we may only have funding for 2.
That's correct. Mayor Pro Tem, what I've been trying to do is keep our engineering cost at approximately 18%. That's the targeted goal. I'm at about 23% on this one, but we think that we're going to design more than we're building. But if the bids continue to come in favorable, the next project, if it yields some extra cash, we would then have this one designed, shovel ready, right? That key word, we would be able to just bid it and add it right to the contract to get that particular line built.
And then engineering, it's not just engineering, it's design, bidding, and construction oversight.
That's correct, Mayor Pro Tem. So we've got about 180,000 of it, I think, is the design work. And then the balance will be in construction and construction management. And what I've done is change the contract. So instead of them being a lump sum, they are time and material. So we will negotiate with the engineering firm. Again, in this case, it'll be Wilson, but we'll negotiate their hours, the hours on site, how many of their team members need to be available so that we can keep it within that. So it's a time and materials not to exceed that value. And staff recommends approval of the contract.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Any further discussion? Not all. Motion.
Make a motion to approve the Wilson and Company Engineering and Architects contract as presented.
Motion and a second. Ms. Torres?
Honorable Inga Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Rob Hushler.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Charles Wood.
Aye. Carried unanimously. All right, let's move on to item B10. Discussion and action FY 26-27 Sunny Valley New Mexico Tourism Marketing Plan. Mr. Whitehead.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission, again, this will be part 2 of my first presentation, preparing our contract year for lodgers tax. Contract in front of you is with a ad agency called Sunny 505. If you take a look, they've provided advertising services to the city at least for the past 3 years. Part of the funding that we send to them, so their contract is $122,000. Out of that, $63,000 they will utilize to send to the New Mexico Tourism Department to match for the New Mexico TRU. So the first half of that, they are just the conduit, if you will, so that we're part of that program and we stay compliant with New Mexico TRU. That $63,000 is a 2-to-1 match, so it turns into a $190,000 overall program for the city, really for Sierra County. Sierra County does participate with us a little bit on that. If you look at the second part of the contract, Sunny 505 charges us $12,000 annually to administer this contract. And then they've provided a proposal to spend an additional $50,000 of the city of Truth or Consequences. All are lodgers tax compliant, and staff recommends approval. I would remind you, as I did last year, advertising agencies are one of the exemptions of the procurement code. So you are allowed to just enter into a contract for these particular services. Contracts compliant, and we would recommend approval.
Thank you.
I was glad you explained it more about the scope of work with the numbers. How, you know, because when I first looked at the contract and was comparing it, I thought they were inconsistent, but I was glad you pointed out about the $63,000, being a separate issue. I appreciate that. So yeah, we had the contract in front of you. So yeah, you're approving the contract would just call for $122,602 plus the grocery receipts tax.
Thank you. All right, questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Do we always just go with 7505, or have we ever received proposals from other companies that might be interested in doing what they do for us, or is this something that's we're happy with, we just want to keep going, or have we shopped around?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Mitchell, that's a great question. Last year when I came on board, there was some real consideration as to whether Sunny 505 was the right fit. Were they doing the items correctly? We discussed in depth that potentially we should go out this year for RFP for proposal. Again, number one, marketing is not subject to that requirement. We could do that. However, what we tried to do last year, and it's been very successful, is we created an administrator for lodgers tax, who is our city clerk, Angela. Angela brings every one of the advertisements to the lodgers tax board. So Sunny 505 now provides a quarterly report, provides all the ad slicks, provides all the information so that clearly the lodgers tax board is seeing exactly where we're placing and we're handling the dollars. What I would provide to you is whether we went with Sunny 505 or another ad agency, $63,000 of the money is just going to go right from their pockets right to the state of New Mexico to be compliant with exactly what New Mexico True says you have to do. So you wouldn't get any change in that particular issue. And then the other items that they are providing, I would think we would have a similar ad agency say, let's place billboards in Albuquerque, let's place billboards in El Paso. It would just be a different look, maybe a different different texture. I hear you, we potentially could go, but we'd really like to see at this point, I think Angela could certainly speak. She's administered this for us. I think we all feel like we have a better understanding of the program. We have a better understanding of Sunny 505. I think they have a better understanding of what we're looking for. And so I think those issues of not sure what we're getting and we're paying for, I think have been resolved by us administering it. So I would yield to our administrator.
So every time they have an ad that they're going to put out, it goes through a 4-member, board or whatever. And one of them is actually Abigail. She's my admin assistant, and she went to school for stuff like that. So we have her and our PIO Carrie. They go over like the ad portion of it, like the design portion. And then Copy and I, we kind of go over like the financial parts of it. And then, like you said, we do take it to our lodgers tax board. She is working very close with Carrie right now. So it's a lot different than it was in the past years. So we've liked what we've seen so far. So we do want to give her a chance to see what we can do and what we could accomplish working together. So we did do it for a year. So if we're not happy with it, then next year we can go, we can find another.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I would just want to add, just to piggyback, just to give you a picture. It's been a while, but one of my first actions, one of the first items that hit me when I took the job and sat down at the desk of the many, many emails that came across was an ad that said, hey, I'm publishing an ad tomorrow in this magazine. Can you approve the ad slick? Right? And it didn't feel right. So again, as you can see now, we're in front of it, we're ahead of it. We have 4 people that are focused on it. We're addressing it. It's got to be it has to be much better for everybody involved than it was. I could see how folks would have said, I don't know what we're getting. If the city manager was getting an email and saying, can you approve that ad? And it felt disingenuous that I was the only one that was approving an ad that would be for the whole community. So I think we've improved it, and we'll see where we go. And we don't need to necessarily have the contract to go, with procurement. Again, we could procure it at any time. So 30 days notice is part of the contract. That's standard in governmental. We could end it at a moment and find another ad agency. So,
Okay, thank you.
appreciate it. It's the right question. Thank you, Commissioner.
Question, just as a general comment, I feel much more comfortable with it this year, knowing that we have folks in-house looking at it. Seems like in the past, all we did was just kind of approve it, and none of us really knew what we were approving, or maybe not understood all the way what we were approving. It was nice to have someone like Carrie on board and Abby on board, be able to look at those things and advise us, so that, we know that our money's being well spent. So I feel much more comfortable in that regard. All right.
Okay, with that, I would like to make a motion to approve the contract with Sunny 505 in the amount of $122,000. What is it with numbers today? 602 plus CRT as percent.
A second.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Aye.
Honorable Rojo Pastor.
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hopner.
Aye.
Honorable Taz Gordon.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Move on to ordinances, resolutions, and zoning. Item F1, discussion action resolution number 54, 2526, budget adjustment. Ms. O'Gean.
Thank you. In front of you, we have the expenses that we're transferring into the 600 to the service center. This was when we did the initial transfer from where we combined every department into the one location for the service center. And we were gonna take out a portion from each enterprise fund and the general fund. This is part of this fiscal year ending and to cover the remaining ending of fiscal year. The good thing is we over budgeted when we did this because I took from every single item that happened in the previous fiscal year. And in the new fiscal year coming, it's like more than half that we cut based on this method of doing it. But in order to finish this fiscal year, we needed to increase from the departments to the 90,000, which is in the service center. And that's item 1. And item 2 is,
I mean, to handle that one first.
yeah.
Item 2 is a transfer from the water department back to our 315. As everybody remembers, our 315 account is our emergency joint utility fund. We carry about $1.6 million in that particular fund. We use that fund. What we're using that fund right now for is to pay all of our reimbursements. Every grant that we have for fixing water lines, it requires that we pay for it and then we receive a reimbursement. So I had authorized the finance department to utilize that fund to pay those bills. A small misunderstanding, they actually paid the debt that we owed on the water system from that particular fund as well. So we need to transfer the $378,000 from the water department back to the 315 account to make it whole for the debt service. So we paid our debt, we're current, we just took it from the wrong pocket. And so we're just going to put it back in the right pocket. And again, we're using that fund. There are days that 1.7 million drops to 500,000. So we do monitor it. We do pay very close attention, but that's the best way. So the staff laughs at me, but I call it our credit card to pay these bills because we do have to pay them before we can get reimbursed. So we'll continue to utilize the joint utility fund in that manner as we're paying almost 40 million in projects.
Sounds like a shell game to me.
It's a little bit, well, it's not a shell game, sir. I assure you it's on board. Nothing funny, just managing cash. And then I could help Jocelyn with the last one if you want. We could do it together. We just had a particular fund that we forgot to add when we did a carry and we did the budget, we forgot to carry the revenue into the particular line item. So when we processed the purchase order for a water line, we were $3 million in the hole. So we just needed to post the revenue part of the grant into the budget. So those are the 3.
It's been part of the project of cleaning up all the capital, so they were handled in the past.
Correct.
I think this hopefully not stronger.
Yep. Right. Thank you for those explanations. Questions, comments? Everybody good?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 5425/26. Budget adjustments.
Right, I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion second, Doris.
Honorable Inga Hopner,
Aye.
Honorable Chaz Klein,
Aye.
Honorable Ralph Esper,
Aye.
Honorable Destiny Mitchell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forster.
Carried unanimously. Item F2, discussion of action, resolution number 55, 2526, 2028, 20 to 2032 infrastructure capital improvement plan. And ranking. We've got some work to do.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. So as part of this process, all commissioners previously received the current list of proposed projects, and you guys were requested to review the projects and rank your top 5 priorities for tonight's meeting. So for this evening's meeting, the discussion is intended to allow the commission to review those rankings, discuss project priorities, and then come to a final agreement regarding which projects will make the city's overall top 5 priority list for your capital outlay submission purposes. We're also requesting that the commission discuss any additional projects that should be added, removed, or revised within the ICIP plan prior to the adoption of this resolution. Once you've completed your discussion and you've reached your consensus regarding the project priorities and any revisions, then we're requesting that you approve and adopt the resolution as reviewed, ranked, and agreed upon by the commission. So with that, I will sit back and turn it over to the mayor and city manager.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have any recommendations.
I recommend we adjourn. Did everyone do this or? So we all have ours? Okay. Okay, you got yours.
Let's do the easy stuff first. Do we all agree that Lavelle Johnson Center should be in the top 5?
I have moved them to 6.
Just in general, we're not voting, we're just kind of making.
I was just saying top 5, we already have funding for it, we're moving forward for center use.
Okay. Comments?
Yep.
Yeah, I have that one at, actually I have that at number 2. So that, but it was obviously end up.
Oh, it's already at 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're keeping that there.
Right.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, let me, members of the commission, let me just please again give you a briefing on the top 5 and the value of the top 5. Just make sure that you're thinking, those are the items that we would be presenting to the New Mexico legislature only for capital outlay. Only the New Mexico legislature wants us to rank them in the top 5 because they do not want us to show up with the entire infrastructure capital improvements and say, these are all the projects. So as you think about it, from where the way I'm hoping that we get to is, what are the items that I need to work on during the 60-day session to try to fund where we might be short on a project that I can easily access, right? I can spend time with my legislators. I can promote these items. I can beg and plead and try to to get some funds out of them. So that's the value of the top 5. So do keep that in your consideration as you're deliberating what should be in the top 5.
I do say this almost every year that we get to this process, is that the ranking of the ICIP does not mean that we are not going after funding for those other projects. That is just our big wish list. And what happens is, like Manager Whitehead says, the top 5 are what we present to the legislators. With that being said,
And the governor.
when we just present to our legislators, who that's when we first present, they do not like us bringing $6 million projects because they are not able to fund that.
Correct.
So we have to also be careful in I think we need to have one like big item that we can, that's our big wish list, and we present to maybe the governor at that point. But we also want to have things on there that is in grasp of those legislators. And I will tell you that they like to see a project being all of it. They don't want to say, oh, we need 8 million. I can give you 500,000 for that. They don't like to do that. And I mean, I could be wrong. Ralph's been there just as many times, but from talking to our legislators, they like to see something that they can fund completely. So
here's another way to look at it, and I appreciate exactly what you said. So figure that our representative and our senator may have about $500,000 each to be able to give to us or to our community, right? They only have so many funds that they can give to their entire district. They may have more than one community in their district. Everybody's asking for that money. So I like to ask for things that close out things. For instance, my number one is Clancy Street. And the reason it's number one is we already have $1.2 million in funding, and we need another $500,000 or so to finish that project up. We've been looking at trying to get Clancy Street done now since 2024. This will put it to bed, knock it out, and then it'll make room for another project down the road. So that's why I'm with that there, because if we got another $500,000 for Clancy Street, that project we could finish 100%. Other things that I think should be in the top five, the Bell Johnson Center. We have 500,000 already. We're making an application for another $1.5 million, through a grant. But if we were to land another 500,000 or so, we could finish LaBelle and get it back open for the public. And and I'd like to see that happen in the next couple of years. So that's why I'd like to see that particular item and that is my number two. Number three, I have Marie Street improvements. We just learned that we received $1.3 million for Marie Street. We already have $350,000 in engineering on top of that. This gives us a pretty good opportunity to finish Marie Street. We want to keep it the way it is. We may want to ask for some additional funds because I don't know if $1.3 million will finish the whole street. Depending on what the application is, right? If we just overlay it from one end to the other, possibly. If we want to do a more concerted effort to finish it, then we might want to land a little bit more money to do it the right way and get it done. So that's why that's in the top five for me. Number four for me is the Community Multipurpose Center. We've been talking about that now for a long time. That includes, in my estimation, a splash pad for anybody that's listening. I mean, that certainly would be an ask in relationship with that. And I think it's time that we at least get some engineering done for that or get it on the radar. And perhaps in the future, we could try to float a bond with it. And when this current bond goes up next year, as the $3 million bond, we'll be ready to apply for another bond issue. And if that's the case, then we might want to consider this being on that. That might be our ask. If we can find money through our communities for a new bond of around $3 million, it would be easier to find match money through the feds or somewhere else to finish out this project. So, and we would also get our other entities, whether it's the county, the city of Elephant Butte, maybe the hospital, involved in funding this thing down the road. So it starts picture and how we're going to be able to get this thing done. So that was my number four. And number five for me was wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We've got 2.5 million pending. We know we need another 2.5 million on top of that to finish it out, which would carry us through to the next 15 or 20 years in our community to get us through. I mean, the Riverside back system, things of that nature. We have other things that we're working on, but that would finish up our sewer plant and get us in a position where we're able to survive that without any rate increases for our customers. And that's a big one for me and get it through. So those are the five that I had.
I'll chime in because mine's almost exactly backwards, but.
And it doesn't matter what through five or five through what.
Right.
Right.
So my number one is the wastewater treatment plant. My number two is the substation power transformer replacement, because I know that one was talked about. My number three was Clancy lift station. Number four was Marie Street, and number five is the Community Multipurpose Center. And like I said, I moved Leeville to 6 because we already have some funding for it, and we're potentially getting the application for the loan, or it was a loan or a grant. But anyways, I mean, it can be toggled back up there too. I agree with Mayor Hetchler. If we're about to close something out, let's get it off our list. We don't want to just list perpetually and just be, oh, we almost have enough money, but we don't, so we'll move it down the list. No, I want to be able to close it out. So
yeah, and I agree too. I don't care in what order, but 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9, I think needs to be in our top 5. Again, I don't care in what order. I don't think it necessarily even matters to give you some insight on it. It doesn't matter what order they're in. This is our list. This is everything that we need to be fixed in our city, and it'll always be there. The order of it is for money.
And it's just one direction we're asking for money.
Right.
So once it's on our list, we can go other places. We can go to the Water Trust Board. We can go to Colonias. We can go through other places, seek funding. For instance, I know that I want to try to add to the list downtown drainage improvements at Post and Pershing. We've been dealing with Bullock's Grocery Corner for years now, and it's time to deal with that, I think, once and for all. That's got to be on our ICIP list somewhere so that we can start dealing with that. Pershing Street and Broadway is the same situation. We need to start dealing with that. And by placing it on the list, I think it gives us that opportunity so that down the road, if we want to go to Colonias or somewhere to try to find some money, then it's on our list. We can say it's on our list. We can try to get that done. Okay.
I'm gonna say again on the Smith Silver and Ninth, number 9, I just realized that we have the 555,000 pending, and the entire project is only less than $1 million. So we're halfway there on that one. So I agree with Amanda, get that one up in the top 5. We might be able to get our legislatures to take us $500,000 to finish that off.
And I guarantee we say this is a main road that leads to the schools, and that'll be a very good,
right,
pretty project for.
Mayor Pro Tem, let me add a couple comments on what you said. First of all, that particular project, Smith Silver Street, we do have a $1.8 million grant application in for that. That's going to really be DOT funding. So you'll see through my list, it's not going to rate because I have funding sources that we can work through. We do have $550,000 to do the sidewalk project. I was not a fan of them putting sidewalks on both sides of Smith Street at the elementary school, because the elementary school is not a walk school, it's a bus school. So we're going to convert it to a single lane sidewalk so we can finish it. It'll go all the way around the high school. We've added it, and then we were able to find another $300,000 through the NMDOT this year. So we think we're going to be able to build all the way down to Barton Street at the high school, from the high school all the way to the elementary with that particular project. And we have, so that's why I would say that one's not going to hit
We don't need
that one's not going to hit my button to go to the legislature for. We're going to, that one, and if we don't get funded, TAP, which are transportation alternative funding, are always available for us. So we'll be able to get the second phase of that particular project.
So then 1, 2, 3, 8, and 5.
I think those sound good. Those are kind of the ones I have, but I want to give you an example. And Commissioner Glines got to see this in full force this year. When we go to the legislature, so I have $500,000 for Leeville. I think that that's going to be enough to fix the foundation. That's all I need to do is get the foundation re-poured, re-strengthened so that we can open the doors. The inside is excellent already. We'll get that first contract in July of this year. So that's when we'll receive the contract that we earned last year. Once I get that bid, let's say the contract comes in and I need $700,000 to finish that. Well, then when I go to the legislature, I'm going to beat the doors down and I'm going to be talking about find a way to give me $200,000 from the legislatures to finish it, right? I'm going to be changing and ebbing and flowing at that time. That's the way it works. I'm going to get 2 minutes with the legislator. They're going to say, what do you want? What can we do? I'm going to ask them for something that's in that top 5, right? It's very rare that they go, oh, we saw your top 5. We funded all of it, right? It becomes a process of what's important and what's needed. So that's where you guys just putting them all somewhere in that ranking. And so it could be if I had enough, let's say it comes in under the 5, well, then Leeville would not be a priority for us at the legislative session. So it's a lot of ebbs and moves that you have to kind of be aware of when you're trying to put these particular fundings together. But again, I think the top 5 that you guys have spoke of are really good. What I would say on the substation, that one's a tough one for me because I know we need a third. We definitely need a substation. We need the third transformer. We need to be able to balance the system. But nobody really was interested in that project last year. Nobody wanted to talk about, oh, this is right. And we were kind of thinking that could be the case where they're really looking at us and going, you have a utility, you sell electricity. you should be able to borrow the money to fund that. It's not something like fixing your lead bell that's gonna get the community back in, right? So you've just got all those nuances that make kind of trying to pair this and make it perfect a challenge.
And I think that like each of us kind of looked at it like from our own perspective and, you know, I tried to pick the things that I thought were most important to the community, but also projects that were almost near competing on. I wasn't aware of the number 9 having additional funding in, or that's great. You know, anytime we can say, well, we want to move number 10 up and you're like, oh, we've got that coming next year or whatever. That's great, as long as we know it's out there. So I'm comfortable with that. I don't know, Chad, Ingo, do you guys have anything else?
I just have a quick question to OJ. I'm sorry. It is here about the walking bridge. When you do the master plan, you will include here the walking bridge at Rotary Park.
Correct.
And you know here are the timelines. So
Correct.
first we have to have the master plan. Then we are looking for funding to make the master plan a reality.
Correct. And when we applied for the application for the master plan of Rotary Park, we included the Turtleback Trails Network Plan. And there's a pedestrian bridge there at Rotary Park. So that'll be part of the master plan.
So timeline wise, it would make more sense to maybe consider for next year to put it on it to ask.
Correct.
Of that we have the match what we need
Correct.
to make it a reality. So
Yes.
why it takes the master plan will take at least.
Correct. Yes, sir.
That master plan will open up for some other funding sources too.
Exactly, that's one thing.
And, you know,
Just therefore, when we need a match that we could say, hey, that's 500,000, you would connect the Rio Grande Trail, Turtleback Trail with our city. And that is so where it is, I think, falls on the list. On the list, exactly. I mean, it's just start, but here that answers my questions that next year makes more sense when we have numbers and the master plan in hand.
General agreement?
So we have this one.
I think we're doing 1, 2, 3,
8, 5.
5, and 8. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Well, we agree?
Yes.
That good for boss people up there?
I didn't even have to ask and I got you there.
Yes.
That was yours was.
You kind of did. We had 9 and then you let us off of 9. So
So for Mayor Pro Tem, just for the record, let me read. So project 1 on my list, which is project 1 is wastewater treatment plant upgrades. Okay? So that'll continue to allow us to apply for the Colonias funding. Number 2 is the Lee Bell Johnson improvement. Number 3 is Marie Street. Number 5 is the multi-purpose center. And number 8 is the Clancy lift station.
Well, I'm comfortable with the motion to adhere to that because it doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter.
Whether it's 1 or 5, it opens the door. So
I assure you for me, the project that would, if everything stayed as we are today, probably asking for $500,000 to $750,000 for Clancy lift station, just so that we could, because we have the engineering on board, we have everything going, would be kind of the strategy, right? But that will change in December, right? You guys will be asked for different things and it could change.
make a motion for approval and adoption of resolution and agreed upon by the commission.
Second.
You could add a splash pad to the list. It is.
The splash pad is in the community multi-purpose.
Well, then ask me to make sure that it says including splash pad.
Also to include a splash pad in the community multi-purpose.
Because I'm assuming that if it's a pool, then it's gonna have a splash.
It might not be at Ralph Edwards Park, but.
Yeah, what's that?
Where's the motion on the table?
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion.
Honorable Destiny Maxwell.
Aye.
Honorable Amanda Forrester.
Aye.
Honorable Ingo Hauptner. Honorable Ross Hustler, Honorable President.
Through that. Item number F3, discussion action, resolution number 56, 25-26, approval of fiscal year 26-27 year budget.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you all participated in the budget workshop, we met afterwards with myself, manager, and Karen, and we, as noted in the workshop, the way it's in the Tyler system process now, it keeps us up to date as to what our spending is. So what we presented in the packet was minor adjustments. We didn't make a bunch of cuts or anything like that. We're trying to get where we're kind of keeping an eye on the fuel prices right now. So we're putting in what we're spending and estimating, but we'll have a better estimate for final budget based on the Tyler system process that we're working on. And then when we met with Gary, he provided our estimated GRT cost for our functioning budget. And I will defer to you for any other questions on that level. And if you have any other questions based on the packets.
Were there any substantive changes between the preliminary and the interim budget?
What we were proposing to Gary is with the streets department, we wanted to kind of do where we move it into it, because there's like 2 budgets for streets right now as well. So we wanted to move it to a standalone budget, because we have where we, based on what they have, we feel that it can sustain itself with, we wanted more, but Gary wanted less. We were trying to find a happy medium so that we can have the streets budget on its own, similar to the service center. That was one of the changes. And then I think we were looking at the cost for the governing body for some of the projects, but we were talking about possibly not bulking it up and then actually getting the cost, like putting this unlimited amount in and not so high, so that we can move forward with keeping it on budget without going into the red. Was one of the things we were looking at with some of the departments, and I think we are successful in that aspect. Basically, this is the interim budget that's going to go through DFA, and then if there's any questions, they'll let us know, and then we'll adjust on the final budget. And then one of the things they were also asking for, aside from the new IT policy, they're asking for the amortization schedules on the loans. So we had to make sure everything was in order for that as well. So that's, scary, and there's anything else I might have missed.
Well, I have a bunch.
Of course.
Thank you, Dawson. She did a really good job. I would say on the surface, the first thing we didn't do was the budget is pretty much in order as the departments presented it. We did everything we could to keep it in those orders. What I'll tell you is that the cost of insurance is probably the biggest hit that we're going to take in the budget. 20% really across the board on the city's cost to continue to provide health insurance as a benefit to the employee. So that's up. If you remember last year, we did a pay study. And in that study, I asked you to allow me to pay those that were non-exempt, all the regular staff. We made all those increases, and I asked that we would then increase the leadership team this year. So we did have an increase in the budget this year for those items. That's reflected. We didn't make it all the way. We were not able to meet what the consultants recommended, but I think we did find, I found a happy medium working to kind of allow that to happen. In the streets department, the proposal that Jocelyn and the finance team made was that we effectively take the payroll that we were paying from the general fund. So how we fund the streets, how you have been, is you pay for payroll out of the general fund. The streets receives 1/4% from gross receipt tax, and that's what's been used to manage the projects. Finance team's proposal was just to take the 0.25% and use that to fund the whole project. That would have been about a $500,000 cut in budget to the streets department. Do you want me to cut the streets department? So I'm already struggling. And so what I basically said to the team was, we've got to find a workaround. So I did transfer it. So you're going to see the streets department is all going to fund out of the 216, which was finances, to be fair to them. So instead of having it in two places, it's in one. But we adjusted and we're going to transfer about 300,000 versus 600,000. So I am cutting it. We are carrying a good amount of cash in that fund. We have about 1.4 million in cash. However, I have street projects that I'm still trying to get funded. So I've blocked out what I need for those street funds that'll come out of cash. You just authorized me to spend 40,000 of that cash to buy a street sweeper. This year, we will be starting the Cantrell project, which is funded from the streets. The flood commissioner is granting us 400 of our $800,000 match. So I'll be using 400,000 of the cash. So that's why I couldn't just take all the cash that we had and put it into the project. We had to find some balance. So that is one of the changes that you'll see. In your packet, you'll see a spreadsheet that outlines all the gross receipt tax. So I made an analysis based on what we've received this year. It looks, again, as I've said all along, we are trending very flat in gross receipt tax this year. And what I've proposed in the budget is a modest 3% increase. I think, unfortunately, costs are going up. And if you're paying a little more for your milk at the grocery store, you are going to pay a little more in gross receipt tax. I know milk doesn't pay gross receipt tax, but that's just as an example. We're anticipating that we'll receive just over 7.1 million in gross receipt tax this year. I did not include any of the projects that we have. Remember now, all $40 million of water projects, they're required to pay gross receipt tax. We will receive our 4% of those water projects back. And I did not consider anything from the new business that's coming into our community within that. So the hope is that balance it to stay as neutral as we possibly can. And we potentially would see some increase in gross receipt tax this year. If you take a look, so this is your gross receipt tax. You can take the time to go look and see all the increments of gross receipt tax we received, and then how much our monthly distribution is. The green box on the bottom right would indicate how much would go to the general fund. If you look at the last item, 216 on the top row, that's how much funding would go to the streets department. In your packet, we provided you a spreadsheet, just so I wanted to keep you comparison. Those are the easiest things, right? I'm not going to undersimplify it, but if you take a look at what we did last year in the interim budget, this is the most critical point. We estimated that our ending cash balance would be 1.15 million. We currently carry about 1.9 million in the general fund operating account. We have about 3.4 million available to us. We have savings, but the last year we projected ending at 1.15. We are required to keep 1 month of expenses. That's DFA's requirement. So that would make our adjusting cash balance 478,000. The 2027 budget, as presented with the incomes and the changes, I'm projecting ending cash to be at 1.244 million, with a requirement after the DFA's requirement to be at 4.61. So you can see dollar for dollar, year over year, I'm projecting that we're going to be about $17,000 short in less in the general fund than we had last year. What I will point out is when the final budget comes, right, we don't know what ending cash is. I don't know what the final numbers. I don't know how much the budget we've spent of the budget. Last year, when we submitted the final budget, our adjusting cash was 1.6 million. And after our requirement, we ended with our projection was 936,000. So I almost ended up with a budget that showed double of our projecting ending cash balance, to give you the confidence. So the budget balance is, this is the interim. As soon as we receive the final number, Jocelyn and I will lock ourselves again in the room and then kind of job is to not have as many budget adjustment as we did this last year. But again, we both were fairly new to last year's budget. We had some things we weren't sure of. We missed some items that we didn't budget last year, but we feel like we have a good handle on it, and we think we have everything budgeted appropriately. And our recommendation is approval.
I'd just like to add, we're gonna change the streets and we're just changing.
Yeah.
To not green general fund was the goal. And, one thing to remember with budgets. During a fiscal year, we don't use the entire fee. So we're not, I mean, if we were to zero out every single line item that's budgeted, then every entity would probably be broke. But these are just projected estimated costs in order to function as the municipality. So when we're looking at it, these are projections. And only we can come under as long as the gold and stay in the black versus, but we can never go into the red with it. We want to be able to have our coffers sustain us in the future without having to stress over where the money will come from. And yes, the recommendation is if you would please approve. Thank you.
And Mayor, I would just re-echo, it certainly wasn't the finance team's indication to cut that. It just was one of the best recommendations. It was an easy balance, but we worked through it together to find some common ground on it. They did a good job with the budget this year. The process was fantastic from finance. It really was excellent, so.
I feel it went well. Thank you. All right. Discussion. Comments? Everybody happy? There's a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 5625/26, approval of the fiscal year 26/27 interim budget.
Second that.
Second, Dory.
Honorable Pascaline. Honorable Ralph
Aye.
Hassler. Honorable Destiny Metcalf. Honorable Amanda Forster. Honorable Ingo Hapner.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, it is now 5:40. Our regular agenda items have been exhausted. We're going to adjourn our regular meeting. We discuss 10-15-1H2. Motion and a second. Okay, meeting is adjourned, and once we leave the room, we'll start with our executive session.